one time I remember asking God, what does your peace feel like? Like, everyone quotes, oh, I have the peace of God and it passeth all understanding. And so that means that you don't even understand why you have this peace. And the peace of God is not something that comes and goes, it's
It
not
can't
an
be shaken
emotion. No,
at
no,
all.
no. And unfortunately, I had to experience probably the most devastating thing in my life, and that's the unexpected passing of my father. And when I heard it, God literally said, this is what my peace
Yes.
feels like.
I thought I had to chase who I was meant to be, but the more I grow, the more I see it's not about a role, a race or prize to claim. It's finding peace in my own name, just me becoming
Okay, y'all. So today's episode is a little switch up. Usually she's the one asking questions, but today we're switching seats. It's giving Freaky Friday. And I'm the one holding the mic while she gets to just be. And trust me, this conversation is long overdue. She's not just the voice and creator of Becoming Serene. She's the founder of Chosen Ambassadors Prepare for Success and Profess with Purpose, a Mary Kay powerhouse, a seasoned educator, a vibrant voice actor, a truth-telling copywriter, and my very own mom. With 30 plus years in education, a lifetime of wisdom she's poured into classrooms, boardrooms, beauty rooms, and living rooms. She's a wife of 25 plus years to my father, Travell, and a mother to me and my brother, Jacob. But beyond her titles, she's a woman who leads with grace, lives with intention, and teaches with fire. Today, you get to meet not just the host, but the multi-layered, spirit-led woman she truly is, Ruth Serene DeBonnett Southall. Welcome to Becoming Serene.
Welcome to Becoming Serene. I did not expect all that, and definitely not a welcome to Becoming Serene, and I am serene.
Welcome to your
Okay, I'm
show.
becoming serene. I can't believe I thought I said I'm serene. Yeah, right. We
You
already
ever
know.
say your full name when
What? When what?
you say it in public, but do you say it on the show when you introduce yourself? Well, you don't
I
really
don't
introduce
no.
yourself.
I always
I don't
introduce
think
the
many
other
people
person.
know that's your middle name. I don't think
Those
many
who know
launch
me and know me well know
that.
it
So this
is.
the episode for that.
Yes. Big reveal.
her
Serene
full name.
is my middle name. Ruth Serene DeBonnett Southall is my government name.
And not a lot of people
Knew that. Nope. They didn't.
They probably just think she's
Girl.
just trying to find peace.
Ah, because she is. I am literally chasing peace every day.
Right. But you've always been a mother. You knew names were very intentional.
Oh, my
and
God,
had a
yes.
lot of purpose in a person's life.
With the
And
name
you
like
named-
Ruth, as a
Yeah.
child, you would.
You named us very intentionally as well.
Most
So did your mother.
definitely.
So
Yes.
I see. Yep.
Yes, yes, yes. I get everything, practically everything from my mom. Shout out to Pat.
So describe your outfit today.
Oh, hot girl, hot. Because, baby, this hoodie is hot.
You cannot tell we're dressed as one another.
Yes, I'm Mackenzie Angelica Southall. No, I am dressed as. You see this ponytail that is getting on my nerves. This is Mackenzie going out. Like, this is not her around the house, baby.
Yes.
Yeah, she will go grab some hair and attach a ponytail in a minute. And of course, she's wearing my signature top knot. You could dress that up, dress it down.
It is kind of freaky. Like, I'm looking at you.
Right. And although I'm dressed like this, when I'm dressed like this, I'm really laid back. I'm trying not to lie back on the couch. But Mackenzie is always going to sit up tall. She doesn't care what she have on. But no, honey, I want to chill.
Okay, you're the guest today. We have a couple questions from Becoming Serene and the people want to know.
Do
Well, first and foremost, how was your day today? What did it consist of?
That's a
What is
good
food?
question.
Do
Actually, I went to one of my jobs, on one of my job sites as a consultant. I am a job readiness instructor for a family resource center in Chicago Heights,
Okay.
and I love it. So I teach young people about job readiness, the skills that they need to acquire. And it was a different day. Actually, it's a fun day because I didn't know it was pretty much a potluck. People brought food to eat, so you
Okay.
already.
And I know people are probably thinking, she's teaching where now? Not in the classroom
Well,
anymore.
no, the world is my classroom.
Yes,
It
and
always
that's what
has
you've always
been.
said. So
It is. So wherever I go, it's a classroom.
through
Like
the
my
ripping and
house,
running,
baby.
people don't really truly know what it is Ruth does day to
Right,
day.
right.
So what happens
It
after
int-
that? After you leave?
Well,
Or-
whatever is cool, whatever. Well, my husband likes to say you're that. He loves to say that I just respond to the need, the call. So he thinks I get up and I'm like Batman.
wait by phone. Or if nobody calls, then it's like, y'all need something.
Right. He is like, oh, do you need to go
Yeah.
here? Do you need to go there? And although I do like to be able to respond to needs, it's still, like you said, with intention because it's still fulfilling my purpose.
Right.
So my prayer in the morning, when I do have my miracle morning and my daily devotion, it's God, allow me to bless someone today, and whoever that may be, put them in my path and allow me to bless them.
With
So
your gift. 'Cause it's always
exactly.
to teach. You're never
Yes.
doing something outside of that where it's like, okay, now why would you call Ruth for that? Or why would Ruth volunteer to do that?
Well, sometimes it's not just teaching. I have learned because of people's response, they will call and say, I need you here. Like, I miss your presence. Can
Right.
you just come and be? And I'm just like, are you kidding me?
Change the energy in the room.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, sometimes I see people where they are and I feel their energy and I'm like, just come here.
Yes.
Or just sit down and let's just breathe and just sit. And
Yes.
sometimes they just talk or
Right.
just
And that's sometimes
pour.
all they need is to
Yeah.
feel seen,
Yes. And
then
heard.
they're okay.
hmm Oh, I'm sorry. I was in the middle of doing something. Am I interrupting you? I just wanted to make sure you stop and subscribe so that you won't miss another episode of Becoming Serene. Everything that we're doing is for you and to help you learn to protect your peace while you pursue success. So hit that subscribe button and don't forget to also hit that bell so that you'll be notified when new episodes air. All right, see you there. Most definitely. So all of that is in a day's work. And even today, I wound up transporting a client home, which was very enlightening. Oh my God, I can't wait to see what becomes of that because it really, got me to thinking about some future things I may want to
I'm
do.
sure.
As if I don't do
And
enough,
hey,
as
let's
some
talk
people
about
think.
at your age too and how
Really? What does that mean?
I would say anything you're just mature and how people
Thank
think
you.
being a mother and being a wife. That's it for me. I could have did this in my 20s,
Oh,
my 30s,
my
my
God.
40s, but
I feel
now-
wiser now.
Yes.
Let's go.
and more confident to
Yes,
just
most
try
definitely.
and be seen trying.
I'm more sure of myself and I don't need other people's validation. I don't need anybody else's validation. I don't need anybody else's permission. I don't need anybody else's money. Do not tell your father that. But no, honestly, I
Let's
just
hope
don't.
he stops at
Baby,
the
he probably
Simpsons
will.
before
Right
this.
now. Yes, pretty much. And fast forward, we already know. Let it run in the background while he does something else. But no, all I need is to hear and be confirmed with the voice of God. That's it.
and that
Period.
took some building, I'm sure.
Oh
A lot
my
of things
God,
are
yes.
better said than done, and that just came from experience.
Yes.
So along with that, in addition to me asking you about, I just asked you,
My day and
day.
yes, and how that basically works out and I'm
Right.
still working and operating my gifts.
Well, I also talked about being mature now and
Mm-hmm.
still not being afraid to be seen trying.
Right.
And within that, people just think, oh, this podcast Ruth is doing. I've always talked about doing a podcast, and Ruth just went out and did it because she's Ruth and she's amazing. It was building blocks, and they got to be a part of it. You all got to be a part of it, and you didn't even know.
That is
Through
so
Facebook
true. That's so
and her
true.
lives, that was the
Girl.
steps.
Yes.
And you were seen trying and not afraid to, hey guys. A lot of
Right.
people are afraid to be seen, and I don't want people seeing in my house because it's not clean, or I don't want people seeing where I am.
Or judging and saying I'm not talking correctly, or ooh, I don't know the right words and all those. And it wasn't necessarily that I wasn't afraid. Again, that was a call. Like God literally is like, go live. I said, for what? And he said, just do it. I said, and talk about what? He was like, what you learned that week, what you learned that day, what you are going through in that moment. And I remember one of my favorite lives, honestly, was when I was in the darkest place at that time. Like, I did not want to go live. I was not happy. I wasn't smiling. I didn't have makeup on, and I shared that. I remember it was a season of discontent, and it was in the winter time, because I go through winter blues. Like, when it's dark outside early and everything, I probably need to become a snowbird to stay happy and content. But I went live anyway, and I just shared, it's not rainbow and sunshine all the time, especially for me. Like, a lot of people need my energy. Yeah.
Oh, she goes through this too.
Oh my
She's
God.
relatable as well.
Yes, most definitely. One of the things I wanted to mention, since you mentioned the birthing of this podcast, is especially it's around Mother's Day when we're recording this, that we as women, whether we've given birth or not, we are still created with a womb. We still have we're incubators. We take basically things, and we have a gestational period, just like holding a embryo that becomes a baby. And when God gives you something, an idea, a dream, any of these things, it is our job to say, okay, God, you've given me this, pray about it, read his word, have it confirmed, and then it does start to grow and start to manifest when you just start to walk by faith. And that's what I actually started to do. It's crazy, absolutely crazy, that before this house was built, I saw this. Before everything, you already know. Like, I'm like, okay, the podcast is going to be here. It's going to be there. It's going to be like, as the house was being built, I thought that. And it's been over 3 years.
Yes.
And we're just now here.
That
So,
was a day-to-day process. It wasn't, you see it, and now we're living in this moment here.
Right.
Because it looks a lot different than the vision, but it is the vision.
Right,
it's the process.
right.
And a lot
It
of times
is.
we want things, or we curate things to be exactly how we see it, when it's just like, it needs to be a day-to-day work at it. We can't cultivate the vision perfectly. And then
Right.
be like, I want it to be this. And some people do that, and that's fine.
yes.
Depending on
And it
certain
works for them.
situations.
Right.
Yeah. But we had so many different ideas before this podcast.
Right. Oh my God. Yeah. And so that doesn't mean that none of those things are going to happen, but you're so right. It was like, we could do this, we could do. I mean, yeah, we've been all over the place.
So with that, and God speaking to you, how would you convey to someone else, especially the women, because we have intuition, women's intuition, how would you say you hear God's voice clearly? And when, in what seasons, or even in times of, is it just an emotional distress, or do you hear him all the time, or what times do you hear him, and how do you hear him? How does he communicate with you?
I love that question, because oh my God, it's funny. One of the ways that I know, I ask questions. One of my favorite books, I never ever will forget. Everybody knows what I'm going to bring up, but one of my favorite books is called Conversations with God, and it is written
Pause
by.
1 second. Did you know I read that?
No,
That's why I started journaling.
really.
All of 2023, from from March to
Mm-hmm.
about June, is accounted for like day to day, because I wrote.
Wow.
Red pen, because that's what he said.
Wow.
If you want to respond
Mhm.
to God, you get it quickest.
Yes.
You write it
Oh
down.
my God. Oh my God. So when I read that and he was doing that, I walked with God because I felt comfortable asking him questions. And in asking him questions, and having an immediate response. Since you asked, how do I hear him? One time I remember asking God, what does your peace feel like? Like, everyone quotes, oh, I have the peace of God and it passeth all understanding. And so that means that you don't even understand why you have this peace. And the peace of God is not something that comes and goes. It's
it
not
can't
an
be
emotion.
shaken
No,
at
no,
all.
no. And unfortunately, I had to experience probably the most devastating thing in my life, and that's the unexpected passing of my father. And when I heard it, God literally said, this is what my peace feels like. I did not crumble. I didn't, like, when you think, oh, when I lose a parent, I'm going to lose it.
Right.
And I never said that, and I never felt that way, because I even have raised you all to believe and know that, hey, to live is Christ and to die is gain. So, it's definitely okay, especially if you don't lose someone tragically. And that's how I felt. I felt that peace. Like, my dad had an amazing life. He was an amazing man, and I'm so glad that we had the time that we had with him, and now he's gone. Okay, okay, God, what's next? What would you have me do next? And he said, literally, get your nieces together and take care of them. And I said, okay. I was sweeping my kitchen, preparing for a baby shower, as all of you know, in the family. And I literally put the broom up, and I called your father and told him what's going on. Are you okay? I said, I am. I have to now gather my sister's children and tell them and deal with them and, be there and comfort them. And that's how that day went. And I never, ever questioned, God, what does your peace feel like again? But since we opened that portal of conversation, there is nothing. Just like, and I always, now my conversation with God is just as I was able to go to my natural father about anything, and he never withheld anything from me, I know God is the exact same way. So when he responds to me, because people have asked before, especially children, how do you know it's God when you talk to him? And because they want to know, we don't see him, and they don't understand that. And I said, whenever your response is love and out of love, that's God. God is love. He prompts us to love and to show other people love. That's literally what we're supposed to do. Love God, love others.
Exactly.
It's that simple. That simple.
Because I know a lot of people, even hearing that story, will compare themselves to situations of grief and be like, well, I handle it this way. This is how I
Yeah, and
felt.
it's so fine.
And even question or go deeper into the logic of, well, did you even have a relationship with your father?
Whew.
Feel like that. But truly, it's when you ask questions and when you invite God in.
Oh, yes. And I mean, I still, honestly, I tell people, when it first happened, I was okay because I felt God was holding me. Like, I felt the need. I was like, Mom, what do you need? Writing an obituary. I was running around so much. One of my sisters questioned, like, when are you going to cry? Have you lost it? And everything. I said, I don't have time for it right now. Like, now's not the time. And the further away it got, like, the more years that pass, the worse I feel about it. The more broken I feel, the more disconnected. That he's not here to see these things, to see you all grown up, to have conversations with you. Jacob was only 3. Oh, yeah. So that is what tears at me. But then I'll go to sleep and, and just rest in not just my Heavenly Father's arms, but knowing that my dad is, people say that all the time, our loved ones are watching over us, and they call them our angels because they need to know that. But it's the truth. I truly believe I feel my Father's presence all the time. When I'm driving by myself, sometimes I turn off the radio or whatever, because he used to say to me, like, Ruth, just come get me. I'll ride with you. I told my mom that the other day. He was like, because you're so entertaining. You over there eating. You over He's like, you do not just drive. He said, you are just the whole show to just sit there and watch. He told me he would be my passenger, like, to just sit in the car while I run in somewhere or whatever. I never ever did it. I was like, Daddy, that's ridiculous.
Wow. Yes. So along with that as well, what I just thought about, in those moments, or your sister's question, like, when are you going to cry? And how you said and heard God say, okay, now you need to get your nieces all together and take care of them for a while because everyone's grieving.
Mm-hmm.
There's purpose for everything, and even when we come to God, it's almost as if He breaks us down to a certain point. And He does breaks us down to a certain point to where we have to come to Him. Because had you not have done that, everybody would have
Truth.
crumbled.
I can't
So
even imagine.
even
I cannot.
Everyone's out looking for their purpose and their calling, but there was purpose in that.
Most
for
definitely.
You in that moment.
Most definitely.
Because you went to God, and what does your peace feel like? He used it in that moment. It's
Right.
not to say He took
Right.
your father just
Oh
to show
God,
you
no.
what it was.
And I never even
God
felt
can
that
use
way.
anything in any situation.
And He will. Yes.
For His glory, and that was that.
Yes, I'm glad that you said that in our brokenness is when, we come to Him fully, like, you know what, I'm pouring myself out so you can fill me with who you are, with your spirit. And that reminds me of the Last Supper and communion. My mom loves to teach about communion, but it's the truth that before He gave it, and which means before He's able to use you, He has to take you, break you, and bless you to give you for service. And I feel that way almost every single day. Like, not that He has to break me every day, but I have to be okay with being broken. A lot of us, and I know it's easier said than done, and I know that people are like, I've been broken and feeling broken for years. How long? Time is nothing to God. So I'm grateful for the times when I'm up, but I'm also grateful when the times that I am not, when I'm I'm down, because I know it's at that time, like you said, is when He's like, okay, I'm breaking you for a reason. There's purpose in this. So yes, ma'am.
And that's where He proves Himself.
Girl, don't get me to start.
Because now I'm thinking about Revelation. We get the kids at the school, because they're 3, and whatever they're coloring, they broke the crayon and they're just completely distraught.
Oh God, yes.
Worn down, and we sell them broken crayons.
Still color. They still color.
And that's when God is able to use us.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So with you changing the energy in the room, or just being such a bright light to everyone in their lives, and going out in public and just being.
You don't have to say everyone.
Everyone knows. Everyone knows. Do you ever feel a certain anxiety or just overwhelmed in moments where you still show up as that person, or do you kind of pull back and be like, I can't today?
I used to feel overwhelmed, but I realized that I used to feel overwhelmed because I didn't spend enough quiet time with God. I wasn't prepared to go out. And I tell people now that I'm very responsible. I have a friend who actually says his tagline is, he's responsible for his gift, and he takes responsibility for his gift. And I always love that tagline because that's very, very important, that you have to be responsible for the energy that you bring. So I tell people, if I'm not up and I'm not, bouncing and smiling and able to bring what you all need and what you're used to, I'm not going to show up. And if I am going to show up, I'm going to do what I was called to do and be in and out, because, I am a woman of a certain age and there are some hormonal things going on, but I think only you all can understand it. And it's so funny because you all know I will enter a room and you all scatter. It's like, all right, we feel her energy, we see her face, we hear her heavy sigh.
I'm very sacred with the people I bring around, but also I love the people that I bring around on purpose because they're never too judgy about it. They understand, even having mothers and
of course
accepting you for who you are. I bring around people who accept people for who they are, because that's important.
And it's so funny because sometimes you'll have friends around or whatever, and I say something or do something or slam a door or whatever, and I'm like, whatever, they in my house.
Right, just coming in, hey.
I'm like, you in my space. I don't care.
Just as a
most of I still speak what's going on, but no, my home is gonna be my home. I'm going.
I love how you said you show up anyway with that energy, and a lot of people. Yes, we go to God. God give you strength, but the Bible says His joy is our strength.
That's right.
And even the Holy Spirit living within us, we too have some authority over ourselves.
We definitely have
So
authority over
when
ourselves.
people are
Yes.
just completely down and out and asking God, God, please help me push through.
Mm-hmm.
He lives in you.
That's
you don't
right.
have to constantly go out and pull.
Right.
Because I feel like a lot of times with conversation with God too, they're trying to get something rather than sit still and know.
I'm glad that you could come on, Mackenzie, because that's exactly where I was on my way to, baby, is to, you have to take that time to be still and know. A lot of times,
it's the believing part that a lot of people.
Yes, ma'am.
Because even you, when it comes to hearing His voice, you had the faith
Yes.
that He would respond.
Yes.
A lot of people just like, I've never heard your voice before. I don't think
Right.
He will respond to me.
Right.
Like, you don't go into it like that.
Not at all. And the be still and know. Sometimes when people are just going, and they're physically exerting themselves, and they are just, oh my God, now they're sick because they have run on fumes for so long that their immune system is down and all these things.
Especially the women, 'cause it affects
Oh
the
my
bone,
God,
too,
please,
keeping a lot of things
God.
in. Yep.
Yes, but I have been studying once again. When you do study God's word,
Yes.
and you want to grow in grace, and you do
Daily.
want it daily, then He just directs your path. It's so wonderful. I do it with a group of friends, and it's so wonderful that every time we read something, it's confirmed. One of us will hear and have a confirmation somewhere
And
else.
I
love
that
it.
because even when you're reading, a lot of people try to receive it for themselves. But even when you're reading and with your friends, it's like,
Oh my God.
oh, girl, this word was for you.
I mean,
I read
it's
it
crazy.
so that you can receive it.
It's absolutely insane. Like, I love God. I love His word. It is life. I say it every single day. But now we've been studying rest. And we started with rest, and the first thing we thought about was physical rest. But then we learned about mental rest, emotional rest, spiritual rest, and now soul
looks
rest.
like.
But your soul resting in God, and what Sabbath truly means. Like, it has given all of us a brand new outlook on life, and I'm so excited. Like, I feel
And
revived.
I love that because it plays a role in becoming serene.
Amen.
And of course, that's your middle name. But what does that mean to you today, and why did you title this podcast that?
So that's a fabulous story. My mom always says, I don't know why I named you Serene. You are not serene. My mother says it all the time because I can be off the rails, as only mothers know, and my siblings, of course. But and considering, I said, okay, God, if you want this to really happen, you know how I am. Like you said, I love names. Give me a name. Like, I will flow and know exactly which direction to go in for this podcast if I had a name. Like, and then I'll understand it better. And getting off of my Miracle Morning devotion call with my friends, my friend Arnita said, do you know, we were like, bye, hear you in the morning, love you, make today great for somebody else, all that, doing all of our goodbyes. And she said, do you know that your first name is who you are, but your middle name is who you're becoming? Wow. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. So I guess I'm becoming serene. And that was not the moment.
Right.
I went for a walk that day. Put on my gym shoes and went outside and was walking around our neighborhood. And I said, okay, God, so let's go. What's the name of the podcast? And he was like, what were you just talking about this morning? I was like, well, we were talking about this and talking about that and going over. He's like, but what was the last thing said when you got off the phone? And I said that we're becoming our middle names. And I was like, oh, so I'm becoming serene? So becomes, I think I like that, God. And then I text my friends. I was like, what do y'all think about Becoming Serene as the title of the podcast?
What? Do you remember we were walking downtown? Where we were going or where we were coming from? And that's where I actually suggested the middle name part, because we were trying to create an LLC.
Wow.
And
I'm
I
sure.
brought up your middle name as just like throwing things around, and I think we just ended up with like something Serenity or Serenity.
You're right.
And we were trying to create an LLC.
You're
at the
right.
time.
Yes.
Not to give myself credit, it's more
no,
so
that's
God is
such a
funny.
game. Yes.
God is very funny, because even talked about the direction we thought we
Yes.
were going.
Yes.
And now we're here.
That is so
and
true.
God's promises never return to him void,
But
but now
never.
we're here.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, that's why our speech and the things that we say have power.
Oh God,
'Cause
all the
even just
time. Yes.
throwing things around, suggestions or ideas, and bouncing off of each other in that moment got your mind going.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm loving this. I am.
We can
I'm loving this switching. I love this
What's
switch
funny,
and roll.
What's funny about this is it's currently 12:17.
Tell the truth. A.M.
And we do not care. Because we both can keep
We
talking.
are at home.
Right.
That's what we do.
I'll ask you one more question.
Okay,
though,
girl.
and I'm going to just allow God to speak to me.
Oh,
with this
Lord.
question.
Oh,
'Cause
God.
honestly, these questions are flowing. You would think I'm reading off this card. Shit, you know, it's good. What is the question?
This child is so deep. She's literally praying. This, my children will pray literally at the drop of a hat. Baby, they don't play. I love that. Come on.
Monday, I was out with my friends. Before we pulled off, it wasn't even like a protection prayer in the car. It was just much. So we had a fun night, y'all. Let's pray.
Yes.
And we had just met someone that night too, and carpool her and prayed with her. We didn't know if she believed in God or not. We don't care.
Yeah.
We don't care. And
Yes.
That's exactly how people need to walk.
That's the truth.
And I feel like too with
Yes.
your energy too. A lot of people look at you. Who's that?
Right. But one of the things that I want to share, if something comes to your mind but one of the things that I want to share is that I was not always like this. People think this is, who I've always been, but I used to be more of an introvert. As a child, me in a book, that was it. I love to read.
What does your first name mean?
The name Ruth happens to mean faithful friend. And as a reader, like now my mom is transitioning, like as far as moving, and we're packing things up. And it's funny that my sister would assign me to pack up her books and be in charge of packing mom's books. Because I'm finding a lot of my books. So I'm bringing some of my books home. But the encyclopedias, and I just love to acquire knowledge. And sometimes when you are who God called you to be, especially as a child, you're surrounded by people who may not understand who you are called to be and who you are. Because instead of, and I'm not at all saying anything wrong with anybody, but instead of everybody, like, you're becoming who you're supposed to become, I'm becoming who I'm supposed to become, a lot of times we could be around family members, friends, anybody that's just like, why you like that? Why you always want to do that? Why you? And I'm just like, it's just in me. And you know what's funny is I love to read, but at the same time, I also love to share what I learn. That's why I tell people, well, yes, but it is. But it's also why I tell people all the time, ooh, I found a good restaurant. Ooh, I found some good shoes. Ooh, I
feel like that's the essence of just community and
it is
living.
Yes, but as a child I did it, but was not. You're a child, so you're not received. Yeah, but you're not received well as a child being like that. And I will say being like that only because you have to find your people as you evolve, but as you're comfortable evolving and becoming who you are. And sometimes some of us will run into people who would silence who we are or smother who we are, and then we think we have to put on something else and become something else. So one thing I've always been very comfortable in is learning from other people and sitting down like, ooh, you're interesting, and listening to people's stories, which turned into this. because I have told people for the past 13 years of my beauty consulting business is that I love to collect stories. When I sit down and ask somebody about their skin and their routine and do you wear makeup? Why not? Have you ever wanted to? And all that, I'd love to ask
Yes.
questions. So lo and behold, one of my other favorite things to do, and it's actually how I teach and coach teachers, is I have them take some type of strength finder assessment of some sort to know what your strengths are so you can know what your strengths are. I teach my students that. Like they know. I say, okay, how do you learn? Because I can only teach you according to how you learn. I can only love you according to how you
And the
want to be
world
loved
is
and how
gonna
you
work
feel
in a
loved.
certain way and move in a certain way, and people are going to go in all the same direction because they don't know
Right,
that about themselves.
right.
Everybody's looking at the next person.
Right.
And
What we
okay, I
doing?
gotta
We
follow
running?
suit. If
Yeah.
you know who you truly are and your strengths and everything,
Right.
is going to be so much easier. And
Yes.
a lot of the times, we grow up and people are like, why are you like that and everything. And it's just like, either you follow suit to how
Yes.
everybody else is being, or you just deal with the hurt and carry on.
And then you're just drifting. But then you'll drift, and I don't ever want to merely exist. One of my favorite, some things like we could do a part two or something because it's
For
so
sure.
important to me. One of the things that I've learned is that, like you said, that we definitely have the power of life and death in our tongues and we speak things. But as a child, I learned a lot early. My mother always kept us in an environment of learning. So going to Westside Preparatory School and studying under Marva Collins and Mrs. Ella McCoy, my favorite like instructor of all times, wanted to become more like her. But I studied Latin and Greek and Shakespeare and read Plato and all of that as a child. I was very, like I said, I was just that child that was a sponge and absorbed everything. And so I learned early, like Martin Luther King Jr. graduated at 15. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what that would be like. I didn't necessarily say I wanted to, but I did. And then even reading all of his speeches and learning all of them.
And that's influence.
Yeah, oh God, yes. My favorite one was the drum major instinct that you don't hear a whole lot about, but the drum major instinct was like, oh, I want to be first. Like even the disciples, God, when remember me, I want to be first in your kingdom and this, that, and the other. And he said, the last shall be first and the first shall be last. And if you want to be first in something, be first to serve. And I'm like, oh my God. What's funny is people always ask me, like, if you weren't teaching, what would you do? And I say, I would be a server. And they're like, a server? I'm like, yes. At a restaurant, a banquet, I love to serve. I absolutely do. I love to serve. I love to help people and make their day. I like to anticipate somebody's needs.
That's so
I love to
certain people
listen to
because
people.
It drains them to do that because
It's
something they
draining.
have to do.
I'm not saying it
But
ain't draining.
Exactly, and it's from
Yes.
whom the instruction comes from. Because if
True.
it had not been for the Lord,
My God.
I'm not.
Yes. Yes. But I sleep well.
Yes.
When I go to bed and I feel spent. Like at the end of the day, I'm like, God, I'm empty. And I'm going to need you to refresh me, replenish, and awaken me to.
Just
Yes.
slate, because I feel like a lot of people go into situations and speak to people, because I'm speaking more so on you reading as a child and also sitting and listening to people. I feel like that comes from reading, and when it comes to reading certain books, different genres, it becomes more difficult to jump to conclusions in real life situations. Because
Right.
you read the book and something happens, you're like, oh my God, what is going on?
Right.
And you flip the page, you're like, oh. I thought this was something else or something else.
There's nobody but you. You are hilarious. That's funny. But yes, I used to get lost in books, and believe it or not, I stopped reading and became a TV head. So then I loved the fantasy of going into television, hence Becoming Serene, having a theme song like a sitcom, because I love you should hear them. No, girl, at after midnight, Becoming Serene.
Yeah, so tired.
Ah, we're so tired. I know Jacob back there like, I want to do the tenor. He, y'all will hear one. But yes, this household is a sitcom. I used to hear quite often your dad and I like, y'all should have a TV show, blah, blah, blah. Because we are real in the
But even the
streets. Our
difference
waiters, our service
watching
saying,
TV, especially as we are, because I'm your daughter, and as I grow older and become a woman, I'm becoming more like you, and I love it. So even
I feel
in,
that way about my mom.
yeah, it's interesting. Even in going from reading to TV and watching TV and being observant, you see the different ironies, like dramatic irony, where we know what other characters don't know, or we just see things from all perspectives, and it's just like, okay, and we go in the real world and not necessarily copy, but in terms of the lessons learned, like I'm utilizing that.
Yeah.
Listening better.
See, that's
and,
child. That's only you that take all that from a TV show. Other people's like, anyway,
Right.
on to the next. But no, this conversation is super cool and enlightening. And I basically said, hey, let's switch roles because, yeah, once again, Freaky Friday.
makes
I grew
sense.
up on it.
Because
But
who
I
else was
wanted
on
to.
the interview?
Well, baby, period. First of all, no, the audience not even here for me. They're always here for you. They like
That's
always
the-
want to show up to Mackenzie is so
The
this,
host.
Mackenzie is so that. So you get to see how
She will
I
not be
feel
replaced. This is not my show. She's the host, and she is here to stay. Thank you.
because you are just don't know. That is her bowing out gracefully. Whatever, Mosi.
So, last question, of course, we ask all of our guests on the show, what is something you want our audience to take
I
away
didn't even think about
from
this question.
this episode today? It may be a part 2 if you all are loving this.
Oh.
But what do you want them to take away? And not even necessarily don't give the
No,
a famous
it's
quote
not.
or make
Not
something
at all.
cute.
No,
Just something
it's
about
not.
you
It's the
and
truth.
something you just, or a truth you feel like you want people to know before they come to you and, you know, call you with their grievances and everything. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. She loves
No,
me, she's here,
no.
it's a safe place,
No,
space.
most definitely.
But just a truth about Ruth.
That used to be one of my
you've always wanted to
hashtags. Tell me the
share.
truth, Ruth.
Yeah, you've always wanted to share, but never had like the platform or the space to do so without being like, no, girl.
Well, no, not necessarily. I tell everything. Like, I am an open book. Baby, when I first meet somebody, I'm like, what you want to know? That's a sign of an I personality. I am an I. And I'm always super positive, but I have and do suffer from imposter syndrome. And that means that sometimes I think the gig is going to be up and somebody is going to pull up the smoke screen. Like, it's probably one of the reasons that I love The Wizard of Oz and The Wiz and Wicked and all those things so much, because he's behind that smoke screen and he could seem so powerful and everything until people see him and they're like, it's just you. But the thing about that is that even it being just you, you're still who you are and you're enough. But that's not actually what I want to share. But my imposter syndrome is that's just part of life. That's when my natural man is like, oh, you're not as wonderful as people think you are. And when I look in the mirror, I'm like, I may not be, but God is, and he's in me.
have
So
to-
guess
the
what?
importance
I
of
have
talking to
to.
yourself and
I
combating that.
have to. Because I
combating
won't get
that.
out of bed. I won't show up. I won't come and bring my best self because that's the enemy, and I already know that. So, but my thing that I do want to leave with everyone and with you all, my children, you all know this. And I say it often, but it is my big, and I was going to allude to this. I was honestly going to share this. Another Dr. King moment is that I don't want people to ever mention anything that I have ever gotten, any awards, any accolades, any positions. I want to definitely be remembered and want people, and I know it sounds morbid and people will be like, oh Lord, when people say this, the next thing you know, something happens to them. But no, I honestly, y'all know that. I live each day to the fullest as if it were my last. I read that as a child, and I feel that that is so very important because life is but a vapor. And I love you, and I love you, and I love your father, and I love my life. I love my life. I love everybody in my life. I take the good, the bad, and the ugly because I'm grateful. Like you said earlier, if it had not been for the Lord who is on my side, where would I be? So we are living in grace, and I am so appreciative of it. And I want other people just to learn to embrace the presence because it is a gift. So those would be my parting words. Like, you are not getting ready to bury me for saying something like that. But look, and then my dove of peace. My mom is super symbolic, but my grandmother, my mother's mother, used to give people a dove of peace, and I saw those all the time growing up. So now yes, everything. Yeah. Everything, everything to remind me of God's peace. Yes, yes. Those were from my mommy. She is like, okay, Ruth, you can go and take these now, and it's so perfect that there are 4 of them. So those 4 doves protect the 4 of us.
I love it.
Yes, ma'am.
That is all from us.
We sang it all. Mackenzie Angelica Southall.
Maybe we'll have a Becoming Angelica coming.
Becoming Angelica. Oh, your name does though.
It does. All of our names do. She's very intentional.
Yes.
But we're signing off.
How do we sign off?
I have it.
Thank you so much. Definitely don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.
Always.
Yes.
You all know what to do.
Right. And please comment, like, hit us up. We are on everything. Tell us the social media handles that you are over.
I'm over Becoming Serene on Facebook and YouTube, and Becoming Serene Pod on Instagram. I'm going to get that launched because I want that to have a specific layout, because you all know Instagram is very judgy and their algorithm is different. But also on TikTok, it's Becoming Serene Pod as well, I believe. And I'm still getting used to the algorithm. But yes, we're very engaging. I will respond to every comment. We're not the podcast where it's just like, okay, you all are high and mighty and
no
start the podcast and don't want to share. We will share and not for a price.
And we are definitely going to do all the behind the scenes and ask you what you're liking. We're going to go live and Facebook and all that. Yes. Because I want to ask all these things since Mackenzie is here. I truly want to ask, like, anything you all have noticed. Like, it's just subtle changes every episode.
That's honestly why
it's going to be so much fun. I've thought about it. It's just never time. Lord.
We've signed out 3 times now. Thank you for watching.
Whatever.
Subscribe.
She just want to go to bed. Jacob is going to sleep. I did, but now that I'm not sitting over there, I don't remember it. Thank you so much for watching Becoming Serene. We are so glad that you joined us. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and we'll see you next time, beautiful.
I literally was going to say the same thing.